everyone. Welcome to Special Interests with Bob and Donna Durasmo and Robert Banfelder. We have a very interesting show for you today. We're going to be talking about knives that are especially interesting for fishermen and for hunters. Of course, there are knives that the chefs work with, but these two knives are going to be especially for those two categories of outdoorsmen and outdoors women. Just so that you know who we are, I am a retired New York City Board of Education teacher. I retired many years ago. I can't believe how many years it is.
And math coordinator for the district, so
well,
I
with
may
my
ask
partner,
you a question
yes.
or two.
Okay, well, don't put me on the spot.
No,
okay?
we'll do arithmetic instead of math.
Okay, all right. Robert is an award-winning crime thriller novelist and outdoors writer. He is a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, the New York State Outdoor Writers Association, and we're both members of the Trumansburg Fish and Game Club in Central New York, where we do some fishing, and Robert does his hunting, and I do my relaxing with my reading while he's out hunting.
But most of the fishing is done where?
We're here on
Where we
Long
are
Island.
presently.
We're right on the Peconic River in Long Island, New York, and luckily we have access to Peconic Bays and beyond. We've been to Connecticut and Rhode Island, etc., when we had a bigger boat, but now we have a much smaller boat because we're getting older to take care of
We
larger.
downsized.
We downsized. Okay, so this video that we're going to present to you today is apropos because we are in the midst of striped bass season, fluke season, and porgy season. So we've got the species out there to fish, and we'll be using knives and all kinds of tools. So we're going to get right into it. I must mention that we are very proud of the fact that, especially I am very proud of the fact that Bob is the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from Who's Who in America for his fiction and for his nonfiction. And all of his books are available online through Amazon, or you can contact us for personalized copies, and we'll mail them out to you.
And you want to mention our shows or other?
Well, if you are interested, we're an eclectic channel, so we cover a lot of topics. So please subscribe to Special Interests with Bob and Donna, and hit that little bell, and you'll be notified when we put up a new video. So without further ado, I'm going to go behind the camera because we're going to do some close-ups today so that you can see what Bob is going to do with these special knives. And I must mention that the company that manufactures these knives is CRKT, Columbia River Knife and Tool Company. They're located in Wyoming, I believe, and they are celebrating their 25th anniversary in business, so this company must be doing something right. So again, I'm going to go behind the camera, and Bob will take over.
Actually, I think it's Tualatin, Oregon for Columbia Knife and River and Tool.
Is it Oregon?
Okay.
Okay, it's Oregon. Okay.
We get correspondence
It's
from
3 hours
representatives
Maybe.
from Wyoming.
Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
But anyway, they're 3 hours. They're 3 hours behind us in time-wise. So anyway, so we're going to do the CRKT knives, and I'm going to leave it to Bob, and I'll be back later.
Okay. To be more specific, the two knives that we'll be dealing with are the folding flip style knives. And let's look at the first one. I'm going to open the Avant, A-V-A-N-T, model number is 4620. And we're going to remove this bad boy. And look at this closely. You'll notice the fine carbon fiber overlay handles. Carbon fiber for nice light weight. And before we really go further, let's give credit where credit is due to several people who are responsible for this beauty. Eric Oakes, O-C-H-S, is the designer of this knife. And we really have to mention the wizard behind the curtain here, Flavio Ikoma, I-K-O-M-A. He is the inventor of the IKBS system. And for those of you who are familiar with this system, you know it's par excellence. For those of you who are not familiar, this system gives you very smooth deployment. This is easy to open because of this IKBS ball bearing system. Let's take a look a little further. We talked about the handles. Let's look at this. Oh, and here's a knob on top here, a brass knob. We'll call this, Donna, a disc. Not a wheel, really. It doesn't turn. We're talking about the disc.
A thumb disc.
Okay, a thumb disc. Okay, so we can open the knife this way, or we can deploy it as such. Okay? Smooth blade deployment. Fast and smooth. And again, that's the magic. This Brazilian fellow, Flavio Ikoma, the inventor of this system, teamed up with Ricardo and Roberto Lala, and they formed a company called Korth, K-O-R-T-H, Cutlery. So these are the team, this is the team that put together this bad boy knife. I like this knife, this EDC knife, for those of you who are not familiar, EDC, everyday carry, because it's a little bit heftier, just slightly heftier than other knives in this size category. I like that. The weight, when we compare it to another knife here, it's slightly heavier, couple of ounces. It's really negligible. But in terms of pocket carry, this is really a fantastic knife, and I like this feel in my hand. It just fits my hand very nicely. It has a clip over here so that you can carry this in your pocket. And here's how we close the knife. We simply push this bar over here, close the knife. So I'm going to stand up here and see how a lot of people carry this. This clip here is really holding this knife tenaciously in place. I could do somersaults and this knife is not going to fall out. But what I like to do is to carry the knife deep in my pocket with this flipper upright, so that I have easy accessibility. I don't have to fight with this, and easy deployment, again, because of this ball bearing pivot system. It's an amazing knife. And the magic behind this, well, these type of knives are caged or uncaged ball bearings in here. And I got a note from the company because I had some questions, and these people get back to you immediately. For the Avant, we're talking about 9 bearings in here that are caged. And they could be either steel or ceramic. I believe that they're steel bearings in here. And I'm not going to get into taking this knife apart now. There's no need to. I'm not going to invite trouble. You have to be very, very careful with the if they were uncaged bearings. You would take a paper towel. You would use a toothpick to dig out the bearings onto a paper towel. You'd clean out with a Q-tip the old grease, and you'd put in new grease. And if it was a caged system, the bearings would be in this cage, and you would simply remove the cage and clean it up and then put it back together again. But down the pike, I'll be doing a video on that when it comes time for me to clean this. We're going to be talking about this other knife in a few moments, and you'll see why this is such a fantastic knife, especially for hunting. I use this one, I dedicate this one for fishing purposes. And it is my EDC, it is my everyday carry. So let's move along here and get into some of the specifications here. So we talked about the overlay handle for lightweight, this black woven texture, the satin finish. The blade is a drop point blade style with bronze accents. And again, we looked at the thumb disc here. You can see an accent over here on the other side, and the clip itself. Okay.
And the clip is interchangeable?
Thank you, Donna. I was going to get there. It is in my notes, but you're
Okay.
right on top of this. If we look at the clip on this side, you'll see that it can be easily removed and placed on this side.
So whether you're right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed. Okay. What else do we want to talk about this? It's an artful. These are artful touches, really. Bronze accents. They're titanium, nitrate, brass accents. Simplicity personified, demonstrated by its clean lines and befitting good looks, I'd say. A very, very nice knife for EDC, for everyday carry. And again, this is dedicated for my fishing needs. I'm always cutting lines and rope and so on and so forth. Okay, now, the overall length of this knife is, I have it written down here, but let's just take a look to corroborate, is 7.5 inches. So if I put this on the ruler here, let's do it this way. So you can see the point. We're talking precisely 7.5 inches. Okay, got that, Donna? Mm-hmm. All right. The closed length is 4.3 inches. The blade length is 3.17 inches, and the blade thickness is 0.143 along this bevel here. Okay, and just maybe the camera can capture this, the light. Just look at the mirror-like finish of this bevel on both sides. This is an extremely sharp knife. Let me pull that back. This is a extremely scary sharp knife. And that's the kind of knife I like when, oh, and I've been working with this probably, how long would you say, Don? A couple of months now?
Couple, yeah.
Okay, I didn't have to reprofile this knife, okay? So all I'm doing, using stones that touch up this blade. This holds an edge very, very nicely, sharpens easily. The weight of this knife is 5.4 ounces, slightly, negligibly heavier than another knife in this category. Some people just like to have a featherweight knife in a pocket. I like this hardiness, if you will, to reiterate. Okay, for those of you who are into steel and know its properties, and I'll just throw this out. It's 8CR14 MOV, 58 through 60 HRC, which translates into good stainless steel. Now let's see if I have a couple of notes here. I did a bit of research on this and on these steels, and it can get very, very confusing when we're talking about non-alloy metals such as tungsten, titanium, chromium, cobalt, and copper. So if you want to do further research, you do it. It's we can talk about types of steel strength, compressive, tensile, yield strengths, and impact. For general purposes, for my fishing needs, there's nothing wrong with this steel, this knife. Again, I like the fact that it sharpens easily and maintains, holds an edge. And when I did have to sharpen it recently after a couple of months, all I had to do is just touch it up. Okay, so we talked about the reversible clip. See, I had it in my notes here, Donna. Would have gotten to that. The bearings, the ball bearing pivot system, and last but not least, the MSRP on this is $90. Shop it, folks. You'll do considerably better. But that's your MSRP. And now we're going to jump over. I'm going to leave this out here for comparison's sake. Jump over here to another knife that I use strictly I dedicate this for my hunting needs. I'm a deer hunter. Well, I do a lot of small game, but in terms of big game, I pretty much stick to deer hunting. So we'll look at this bad boy, and the first thing I'm going to point out, we'll do this again, close the knife, and this deploys effortlessly, very easily.
That's the Avant.
The Avant, because of that ball-bearing pivot system. This bad boy.
And what is it?
This is the HOMEFRONT HUNTER. And it opens, it deploys, but with a little bit more oomph. This is effortless. If I were to just touch this like this, see, it's not going to open. Of course, I can, carry it forward like that. But that is the magic for easy deploying your ball bearing system. But I'm not out there as an everyday carry, say, even for self-defense, God forbid that situation should arrive. This is the knife that I use for field dressing my deer, for skinning it, and for light butchery. So we're going to see what is really so special about this. There are several different handles finishes that it comes. I picked the Realtree. Donna's pointing. What is Donna
here.
trying to tell me? Just speak up, Donna. Tell me what you want.
There we go.
Okay. And right on the handle here, like the other one, I didn't point it out, but you have your designer here. Ken Onion. Those of you who are familiar, you're knife aficionados, you're certainly familiar with this name. And again, I picked the extra Realtree camo pattern, just so I maintain that hunting motif, if you will. And we'll note where this is this typical drop point blade. This is more or less a semi-Skinner type of blade. And let me tell you what a nice job this does. When I'm in that cavity of the deer, cleaning it up, this knife is not going to slip. My thumb rests on these cutouts here, and you can see that this is not going to slip in my hand here, in the palm of my hand, nor the thumb. And I can wield this very, very neatly. Okay, so we talked about that handle. Okay, now the magic of this knife is its field strip technology. We can take this knife apart in seconds without tools. And we're going to do that in a moment. But let's talk about some of the specifications as compared to the Avant. The handles are glassed reinforced nylon. Its open overall length is 8.25, 8.25 inches, which is slightly larger than the Avant. Okay, what did we say on Avant? It was 7.5. Here we have 8.25. Its closed length is 4.7 inches. Its blade length is 3.56 inches, and its blade thickness is 0.133 if you want to carry that out. Okay. Its weight is 4.2 ounces. And if you recall, the weight of the Avant is 5.4 ounces. So a couple ounce difference here.
Little over an ounce.
Little over an ounce, not even a couple of ounces. Little over an ounce. It's really negligible. But again, I like this, if you will, for lack of a better word, heftiness to it. You can feel that slight difference in the palm of your hand here. And again, this is dedicated for my deer hunting. Okay, so actually we're talking about 1.2 ounces, 1.2 ounce difference between the Avant and the HOMEFRONT. Okay, so let's take this bad boy apart, and what we're going to do here...
You want to tell the people about the steel?
About the what, hon?
The steel on the blade?
The steel, I'll get to that. I'll get to
Okay.
that. We're going to pretend that I just took this out of the box, and I have never, and that I haven't taken it apart. I've taken this apart maybe 3 or 4 times, and I have my set of instructions in here. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna pretend. Did you ever read instructions to put together, say, a barbecue? I don't know if that's a good analogy, but instructions sometimes are so crazy. I'm gonna look at the take apart, the disassembly instructions, and you can see that's 1, 2, 3 easy steps, and we're going to do that. Not in a hurry here, so we're going to take our time. Donna's focusing in on this here. Okay, it says, with the knife in the closed position, push the lever up. Donna, you want to home in on the lever, okay? And we're going to push it up, all right? Step 2, rotate wheel clockwise until handles separate. When I first did this, I'm saying, what? Where's the wheel? If you look closely, as we go back here, as my thumb travels rearward, there's the wheel. It looks like it's part of this detented section here. So, what does it say? Wheel clockwise. So, okay, now as I'm doing this, I can feel the handles separate. I don't know if you can see that, but it's separating, okay? These handles are apart now, and what I'm going to do is, I think I'll do it this way, bring it around here so you get a better picture. That's it. Did I even do three? Handles and blades should separate easily, and they certainly did. Okay, no tools. Imagine what this knife looks like after I get through field dressing a deer, skinning a deer, and doing some light butchering like the back straps, whatever. Okay, it is a mess. Out in the field after field dressing, because I hunt near a stream, a brook, I simply take this apart 1, 2, 3, and just, you know, get most of it off, swish it around in the water, and then when I get home, I take care of this thoroughly with Q-tips and rag and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is the magic for this knife. And you can, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to reach for this here. There's a little bit of oil on here. When I clean it up and put it away, I put a thin coat of oil on all my knives. Very, very thin coat, knife blades. So now we're going to put this back together, take apart. Let's do this, Donna, make this simple here. Okay. You can see this stem here and here. So obviously this fits in. Oops, wait a minute now. Getting stupid. Okay, now as I push down, you'll see it's depressing. If I let up, it comes back up. So what I want to do is hold that down, put this on top here. Okay, and it's telling me to hold this. Press and hold pivot. Here's my pivot, okay? Rotate the wheel counterclockwise this time, okay? So whereas we're going clockwise, now we're going to go counterclockwise. And I can feel these handles come together here, okay? and want to make sure this is closed, and then push lever down. If I can't push this lever down for some reason, it's telling you that you don't have the pivot pressed down correctly. It's off-centered, it's not perfectly centered. So there we go. And let's see, are we back in business? Okay, there we are. So, we did the flip assembly. Okay, now what we're going to do is just think about the sharpening these knives. I say they're easy to sharpen. Some of you folks who maybe are just getting into this, you've been told, well, you know, don't bother with these manually operated, angle-controlled knife sharpening systems. Make life easy for yourself and get an electric belt sander. You do not want to do that on fine cutlery, whether it be a folding knife like this or a 8-inch chef's knife. As a matter of fact, I'm going to excuse myself for 2 seconds here. I should have brought this out. Be back with you. Few inches or 8 inches. Okay, fine cutlery. This is Zwilling, J.A. Henkel, Solingen, Germany. Not the top of the line, but not cheap either. But I've had this knife forever. I had a whole set, and it is a very, very nice knife. I would not put fine cutlery on an electric belt sander. Electric belt sanders, as far as I'm concerned, are good for hatchets, axes, lawnmower blades, etc., etc. So what we're going to do is just take a look at 3 systems. Oh, Donna, did I mention
The steel.
The steel.
No. On the HOMEFRONT
Okay.
HUNTER.
The steel on the Hunter, HOMEFRONT Hunter, is AUS 8, 6061. All right, for those folks who are into the steel business. Again, these are fine blades for what we're talking about here. And I just want to mention, okay, let's see. The MSRP on this is $99. Again, folks, shop it. I don't know how you'll. Backing up to the Avant, when they talk about $90, I say shop it. You'll save considerably. You shop this, I've seen it for not considerably less, but I've seen it for less money. So do yourself that favor and shop it. So let's look at some of these systems here briefly. This is the Wicked Edge. Donna has these models in her head. The Wicked Edge E130.
WE130.
WE130. Okay, and it is really top of the line. Knife aficionados around the world say that this is the best manually operated, angle-controlled knife sharpening system in the world. The best in the world. Not Bob Anville's. these pros are saying it. And I find that nothing really beats this. It's pricey, won't get into that. I cover this vise thoroughly on one of our shows. So I'm not going to get into that, but that's one system I'd like you to be aware of. We're going to be looking at a system for budget-minded. We're going to be looking at a system middle of the road, and this is the system that is top of the line, and you'll pay for what you get. Might be sticker shock price for some of you, but again, it's an investment. It's an investment. So I'm going to get this out of the way. And you can see that there's a lot of accoutrements that I have here. And you can build from a couple of stones. You can order more. You know, you can really build this system up. Middle of the road guy,
Price-wise.
price-wise, is the Edge Pro. Whoops. And I just put this onto a board that I have. The system that you saw a moment ago, I mounted that onto a board that I had laying around. Same with this. These are suction cups. You just wet this area, lock this down, and this baby is not going to go anywhere. So I've had this set up for a week at a time, and it is a fine system. We'll go down here, we'll start at say 15 degrees, then we have 3-degree integers. We go from 15, 18, 21. And if your sharpening system is calling for, say, 22, you can just come up slightly, that type of thing. Lock it, put your blade here, and sharpen, okay? I have all kinds of stones and tapes. Okay, that's another system. And again, I cover these systems thoroughly, so you will be quite familiar. This is a budget-minded system. You don't have, we have degrees of sharpening, not 17 through 20, 25, and 30, but locked in at 17, 20, 25, and 30. So you don't have that precision. But for the budget-minded, we're not talking about fine cutlery here. This will do the job for some inexpensive, for fine cutlery like the knives we're looking at here, or the that chef's knife. I would really stay with these other two systems. But for sharpening some inexpensive fishing knives, say like Dexter, Russell, not bad, but you know, not top of the line either, this will suffice. And the system comes with various stones for sharpening. This clamp, of course, this vise. It does not come with the pedestal or the base. The base is another piece of wood I found laying around in the basement. I mounted it onto this cheese board, and again, it will suffice. But I don't really recommend this because you don't have the precision or the control that you have with the other two systems. Again, for inexpensive cutlery like Dexter Russell fillet knives to you know, the full selection. Okay, I would say that's about it. We're going to wrap it up. Donna, you feel anything I didn't cover?
No, I think you did a good job.
Okay. All right. Thank you, folks.
Good job.
Thank you.
Those of you looking for quality folding knives, again, the company is Columbia River Knife and Tool out of Oregon, not Wyoming, like I said before. And
Like I don't make mistakes.
And we have the Avant and the HOMEFRONT HUNTER for fishing and for hunting. Beautiful knives. Beautiful knives. Thank you very much for watching Special Interests with Bob and Donna. And again, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And we will see you next time with who knows what we're going to get into. Take care.